Hi, I have four different topics that I'd like to cover today, and I'll try to be brief if I can. If not, I'll elaborate a little bit more. The first one is I wanted to talk about some opportunities that you have as far as if you want to participate with my in-class courses, some things that I will be doing in these next weeks. The second is I wanted to talk about some courses that you could consider taking here at WCCC. The third is some other options for you to consider in criminal justice and otherwise. And like I said, the other thing I wanted to go through was the college catalog a little bit. In my in-class course today, I did go through the college catalog, and a couple things that I recommended is if you would be so interested, there is on page 129 in the 2012-13 catalog, there's something called a forensic science certificate. And so if you wanted to specialize, in crime scene investigation or, even as a police officer or investigator to have this background is very, very helpful. So it's a 21 credit sequence, but you have to take forensic biology, forensic pathology, introduction to forensic toxicology, criminal law 1, criminal evidence, and introduction to criminalistics. Very good program, because it gives you an edge over other candidates because, you would be able to have an understanding as far as what indicators when a body has been dead for so many days or if a body is found out in the woods, based on the types of bugs and insects and so on the body, you would be able to have a pretty good idea as far as the time of death. And so that's something that you may want to consider. Tom Moran, who's the Westmoreland County detective who often comes to this particular class, he said, or the in-class course, he said as a Westmoreland County detective, he specializes in financial crimes. But you can do homicides if you like. Joe DeMarcus, who is a district judge, he does, when he was there, he was with Westmoreland County for probably 10 or 12 years. He did crimes against women and children. So there's areas where detectives, police officers, and so on can specialize. Even with the state police, I mean, you can be a trooper, but you can also be an accident reconstruction expert. You can be a fire marshal with the state police. You can work at the lab. You can work with criminal investigation as far as cybercrime or, pedophilia and so on. So there's many options other than just working out in the field as a police officer. The field of criminal justice is pretty broad. And there was this former student here at WCCC who's a crime scene specialist and latent fingerprint expert. His name's Tim Sethman for Westmoreland County. He works for the district attorney's office, and that's what he does. So it's just not, the narrow police field, but I mean, it's a pretty broad and expansive field. So I just wanted to mention that to you as something for your consideration. In my in-class courses, we also had Cliff Schrum, who is the director coordinator of the Homeland Security Program at WCCC. And there on page 137 is a Homeland Certificate degree in Associate of Applied Science. So they go through the courses, and as you can see, some of the classes in Homeland Security and the criminal justice program are similar, but if you get a Homeland Security degree, you can work for TSA, transportation safety, group there at the airports. You can work for Border Patrol, Customs. There's many, many opportunities. I believe there's about 16 different agencies with Homeland Security. If you ever wanted to check out some of the opportunities, there's a site called USAGov or usajobs.gov, and you can check that out. So it's a thought, though, is like I said, if you wanted to check out Homeland Security, that's on 137 and 138. Before I go on, I also wanted to mention one other opportunity for you. At WCCC, we also have a Municipal Police Officers Academy at this college. It's actually, the classroom is over in the Business and Industry Center building, and then they also do classes over in the gym. They sometimes are down at the training center in Smithton. So they have that facility down there. So anyhow, it's they have a 5 month full time program, and then they have an 8 month part time program. Part time program is more on the weekends. The places I mentioned before, the Public Safety and Training Center is down in Smithton, and so you can always go there. You will go there for the police academy because you have to shoot weapons, you have to do driving training, and so on. The That program is, if you choose to go through with it, it would be $3,000. You would have to pay it from your own pocket, but it gives you more opportunities to get into law enforcement. And I think last year they had about a 98% placement rate. A lot of their instructors, like we with my in-class course, we saw like the police chief in Somerset was a graduate. Many of the police officers and so on from this area have gone through that program. I think it's around the 40th year they're in operation. I had a student in class some years back, Justin Scalza, who's a canine officer with the Jeanette Police Department, but he's an instructor now in the academy. A very good writer, by the way. But he went through it, and now he came back and he teaches in the program. So it would be worth of your consideration. You have to pass a physical fitness test at the front end, and then also at the back end, you have to pass a ninth grade reading test. And for some people that have been out of school for some time, they'll help you to get up to speed with that. And then you have to be 21 years of age by the time that you graduate. So I just want to suggest that to you as something for your consideration. Also in our catalog, I wanted to suggest a couple of other possibilities for you. If you have not taken a general psychology class, which is Psych 160, consider that, because psychology is helpful in any type of field you are in, but particularly the criminal justice field. And then they have other variations of psychology as far as social psychology, child psychology, adolescent psychology, if you'd be working with teenagers and so on. But I took psychology SYC 270 of normal psychology. Very, very helpful and useful course that I can't recommend enough to you, because I mean, you're going to be dealing with people that have problems or serious issues. From time to time you will deal with people who observed a suicide, or I had a former student in class named Sandy, and she was the first responder to a scene of an incident where two boys were playing with a gun and one boy shot the other. And so it can be stressful. So psychology, or having a background or dealing with or understanding stressors, can be very, very advantageous to you. And the two other considerations to mention to you is on page 248, they have Spanish 1 here. And a Spanish 1 course at a college level is a little bit difficult. But even if you take a Con Ed Spanish course, if you know a little bit of Spanish, believe me, it's so advantageous. I lived in San Diego for 7 years, and you can't even imagine how many people you run into that speak Spanish. When I lived out there, I had a passing understanding of Spanish, and I even went to Ensenada, Mexico to study a little bit there for 2 weeks to improve my skills. But there are so many people that you run into on the street who ask you questions that are only Spanish speaking. My wife worked at a hospital there, and you have to say, turn to the left, turn to the right. Where does it hurt? And the same thing, like I said, if you work in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, anywhere in the western states, California, Texas, believe me, knowing and understanding Spanish is a huge advantage. If you watch the first 48, some of the Spanish-speaking detectives, or some that have learned it, have a big advantage over those who do not, because you can really converse with people and you can connect to them and also solve some incidents and some crimes. And then the last area that I would suggest to you is on page 248. If you have not taken effective speech, speech 155, consider that. But there's also interpersonal communication, speech 156. And then the other one is called Fundamentals of Small Group Communication, which is speech 157. So those are my recommendations for you, as a student. And I like to give those to you through the class. Now, I also wanted to mention on Wednesday, September the 19th, From 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, we're going to have a former DEA agent named Bob Stutman that is going to be speaking at the college, and he's going to be in the Founders Hall Amphitheater. Very, very good speaker, so I would encourage you to attend. If you are available on Wednesday, September 26th, from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, that's normal class time for the in-class course, we're going to do a crime scene exercise over in the student government area on the way to the gym in Founders Hall. So if you would be interested, we would certainly be more than happy to have you participate with us. And then I also wanted to mention in the following week, as we go into October, which is Wednesday, October the 3rd, I'm going to take students down to the Public Safety and Training Center down in Smithton. And so we're going to leave here at 11 o'clock. So if you're interested, you can let me know. And we're going to go on a field trip. So as I said, just to see what they have to offer there. And, as a future police officer, or if you work in, like if you're more specialized as SWAT or, or whatever area, they do all sorts of training there. Not only do police officers, but firefighters and a whole wide range. The military trains there. So it's a bigger facility than you would think. So I just wanted to mention that, to you. As far as worthy of your consideration. Now, what I wanted to mention to you, and I will be posting another announcement here shortly, but for this Friday, September 21st, you have to do exercise 8 from page 28 in chapter 3. Use a fill notebook to sketch a diagram of your classroom and include any audio-visual material. Be sure to include the measures of the room, the placement of the equipment. Obviously, you won't be able to do that. You can do a classroom here at WCCC. But if you like, I said I would prefer that you could do a sketch of either your bedroom, your porch at home, or even one of the sections of your places at work. So like the dining room, the kitchen, the office area, and so on. So say like you worked at Panera Bread and there was a robbery in the office area, and there had to be the police came in and had to do a sketch. You could do something like that. So it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. I am not an artistically inclined person myself. So if you want to, with that one, you can use something like Word Art. You can use Microsoft Visio. Or if you want to hand draw it, you can fax it, or you can mail it to me at Michael Ritzik, HRICIK, 145 Pavilion Lane, WCCC, Youngwood, PA 15697. And the other area that I wanted to mention to you is look at chapter 4 on the rules of narrative writing, in about 2 paragraphs each, and you can actually make it more than 2 paragraphs. You might want to get to about 4 paragraphs there. I want you to rewrite exercises 1 and 2 on page 112 in your book, and I'll refer you to those. It just says you are a backup officer, Jeff Guidry. You recovered the rifle and booked it for safekeeping. So it gives you the details of the incident there. And then you have exercise 2. It gives you another incident on page 112 and 113 in your book. And what you do is you start with the date, time, and how you got involved. And you basically indicate what you did, in the situation. And if you refer to the last page of chapter 4 in your book, they go through the rules of narrative writing, which are on page 38. So you use the first person, like I observed, I noticed, or we entered the home, and so on. So, but that's important. Use the past tense, so like observe rather than observe. So that you would do that. The active voice is showing the person doing something. So I handcuffed Ritzik. I frisked William. So and then basically though you're telling a story. So when you start off with the date, time, and how you got involved, which really deals with the issue of probable cause. And then you go through and explain what it is that you did and why it is that you did it. And then obviously use short, simple, and concrete words. So instead of using a weapon, you could say Glock 9mm gun, handgun, or in a prison, obviously anything can be a weapon. The sharpened end of a razor blade, even the plastic part. If you sharpen enough, you can really do damage to someone. So whatever it is, but try to be as specific as possible, and you want to avoid abbreviations, and also you can, the first time that you do it, when you write, you can say Michael Ritzik, and then after that, you can just use the person's last name, and you can use all capital letters like Ritzik. You don't want to use radio code like 10.6 or whatever, just use simple language. And jargon, the same thing. Jargon is like technical language or language that's only used in a particular, profession. And then use direct quotes only when needed. If the person becomes belligerent or they admit guilt, or they basically talk about the commission of the crime and so on. But that's what you need to do. So, you have to do the crime scene sketch, and then also get into this other one where you do number 1 and number 2 there. So that's about it. I just like to let you know what we're going to be doing in the class. And then also, like I said, I have this class in class and online. And something that I've done this year that I haven't done in other years is the stuff that I have that you do in the online class. Same thing with the in-class course, and it actually works out pretty well. So that is it. So I just wanted to give you an update. Thank you.